All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good to see you on a Monday night. Ruth, did you have a question already?
Yeah, is there a way to download this list of contacts?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll send at the end. You can save your chat, but don't worry about it. I'll send everybody the list at the end. Yeah. Yep. Yes, if you're just logging in, I'll probably say it a couple times. You'll see everybody, and please go ahead and mute yourself. Um, but let's see, if you want to post, your name, where your location, website, email, and social media. And there's too many of us to do individual introductions. That would take up the whole 6 weeks, right? So this is kind of the way to do it. I am Christine Shoemaker, so welcome everybody. I know a lot of you. Some of you I know from Facebook and social media. Some people I have met in real life, whatever that is nowadays. And some people through email and, many, many different ways. So it's so good to see you. And, I'm all about bringing people together and, in whatever way, whether it's community, collaboration, it's so funny. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm not a partier. I'm not a party person. So, even having openings at my space, they're fun and they're great. And, and I'm anxious about them and I have fun during them, but I'm so glad they're over. So it's like, I know a lot of you can definitely relate too.
Mhm.
But it's, yeah, but I still love bringing people together, even if I'm glad you're gone afterwards. So I will say that, I'm nothing if not honest. So um so a lot of you know I run Shoebox Arts right now until August 31st. And then and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Actually, I'll tell you a little bit about what this is. With my company, Shoebox Arts, I work with artists on a regular basis. They through kind of like a membership, and we meet 3 times a week. We meet for an office hours. Mondays at 11. Wednesdays we have book club, and Thursdays we have a co-working session where we log in and we just all are muted, but we work. And it's like accountability. It's people get artist statements done. They update their websites. They send out a newsletter, whatever they've been procrastinating on. And trust me, everybody loves it. They get so much done. I get so much done. Um, and I also attend, and I know there's a few of you here that are also in other like office hour type groups, um, which is so cool, that so many different people are offering different types of meetups for artists and kind of support groups and, things like that. Everybody brings their own experience to the table. Everybody, each group talks about different things. And I think it's so important. And I love it. And the office hours that I hold for my artists, the open forum, every week it's different. And sometimes it's the same, especially if like everybody applies for a big show that they're rejected from, oh, we have a big conversation about that. So, and then we're all happy we're just all part of the rejection club, right? So,
Right.
um, but yes, we all, it's great. And so with January Arts, my new nonprofit coming up, officially launching September 1st, I wanted to kind of start this office hours a little early and introduce people to January Arts and get artists to meet each other and know each other and um yeah, and just start talking and having conversations. So that's what this is. It's 6 weeks long. The tonight I figured I would like it may be kind of fast paced. I'm gonna go over kind of the list that everybody sent. Um, the list that I sent in the email. And and then what we'll do is after that, the next 5 weeks, it'll be more topic or more based on what's going on at the time. Like if somebody's dealing with rejection and they want to talk about it, or um you know, whatever it is, whatever question. Somebody may need a framer, somebody, you know, but it's all about like me giving my experience, but also everybody else helping give their experience. And even as I talk today, today is going to be mostly me talking, but you know, if you have questions, you can definitely answer or, you know, ask. But also, if you have feedback for anybody, please feel free to post it. Or if you have feedback for me or other tips or advice, post in chat. That way everybody can read it, you know, read this later on. So keep that in mind also. Um, so yeah, a little bit back to me. I started Shoebox, it's been over 10 years now. I used to work in an emergency room. Um, a lot of people don't know that and they're like, wow. I've worked in medical field since I was 14 and I'm 51 now. And my mom wanted me to have a job, you know, instead of being an artist, you know. I mean, it wasn't really, I wanted to be an architect, but she wasn't as much about school as, you know, about getting a job and having a stable career. And so at 14 years old, I was candy striping at the time, or now it's junior volunteering, I think. And then I had a job at 15 in the hospital, and so I just worked in the medical field until 2015 basically. And it gave me a stable job, it gave me medical insurance. But I was never a nurse or a doctor or anything like that. I didn't want to be a nurse. At one point I thought about being a physical therapist, but then I decided no. So I was always I did billing, and my last job was working in an emergency room in the Valley at Holy Cross Hospital. I was a unit clerk, so I was the hub of the ER. I was like answering phones. I was the go-between between doctors and nurses and X-ray techs and labs and patients, and so that I feel like all of that experience has brought me, you know, to where I am today in the art world. You know, and especially now January Arts, which I'm calling a hub. I'm calling like the hub of the art world. So, or a hub of the art world. I mean, I don't want to say the hub, but a hub of the art world. Maybe one day it'll be the hub. But yeah, so it's kind of brought me to where I am today. I did want to be an architect, but I hate math, so that wasn't going to work out. But I still, you know, in fact, in some of my paintings, I'm an artist. I went to school for art. I have my degree in art history and studio art from Cal State Northridge. Um, and, you know, but I didn't want to be a starving artist. And that's why I got my degree in art history so I could teach. So I taught art history at Antelope Valley College and Pasadena City College, but I hated the bureaucracy of academia. And so I was working in medical also at the time. I was working 2 jobs, and I even delivered pizza. And I'm like, I was working 3 jobs. I have no idea how I did that. I have no idea. But, you know, people are like, I have no idea what you do now. I mean, how you do what you do now. And so, um, but you know, I was working in the ER until 2015, but I started Shoebox in 2014. And because I was, you know, I am an artist. I had an exhibition at Los Angeles Art Association, a solo show in, I think it was 2012, May of 2012. And it involved my work with Second Life. So it involved virtual reality at the time, virtual worlds. And it was cutting edge. I had a dinner party. I turned the gallery into a 1920s dining room. We had a screen at the end of the table that was projected Second Life. So we had dinner with avatars on the other side of the computer from all over the world. And it was huge. It was cutting edge at the time. There were tons of people there, and I didn't do any press for it. I didn't, you know, I sent Facebook messages to Shana Stanbrot, Peter Frank, and Betty Brown. I would never do that now. I mean, well, I know them, they're friends now, but you know, it's like for somebody just starting out, I wouldn't do that now. And so after the show, because I didn't get any press, I had a lot of people there, but I didn't, you know, get any press for it. I started, you know, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what it takes to be an artist today. It's not just creating the work. So I started going to workshops and panel discussions and reading all the business books. I have like a whole bookshelf here with all of my business of art books. And a friend of mine was also studying at the time. And so he was having a solo show at Gallery 825 LA, Los Angeles Art Association. And he had joked around one day, or I had, no, he was looking for somebody to do PR for the show. And I had joked around, well, you can hire me because I needed the money. So a week later, he called me up and he's like, hey, I remember when you said, and we got together, we mapped out a strategy for promoting his show. Within a week, I had the name of my company, Shoebox, which is based on my last name. And also, my parents were in a van club in the 70s, and their CB handle was Shoebox. So that's where that came from. And so I had social media, website, I had everything up. And yeah, we promoted his exhibition, and we got a little write-up in the LA Times and Huffington Post, which was more prestigious at the time. And there were a lot of people there, and it was wonderful. And so, and I was still working in the ER, and I was working there 3 days a week, 12 hours a day, and which was perfect because the other 4 days I could do, art stuff. And then, I started working with artists. It was word of mouth. A lot of artists from Los Angeles Art Association, and then, they were telling people, and then they shifted my hours at work, and I would have had to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, like 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. And it's like, I'm not a night person. I am like, and being in the art world, it's like I knew that just was not going to, I couldn't do it. I wanted to go to openings, I wanted to be out there. And so I decided to quit my hospital job and take Shoebox full time. And I did this without a savings account. I did it like on my own, just like paycheck to paycheck, client to client. And 10 years later, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary in January. Um, so that was exciting. I have a bookkeeper slash grant writer, Emily Wiseman, who I went to school with, and she is just amazing. She had called me up, this was probably 7 or 8 years ago. She had called me up, and she works for Launch Gallery also, doing their grant writing. And let's see. Oh, there we go. And they got a grant to work with an organization to help with PR and marketing and things like that, and to help them behind the scenes professional development. And she asked if I wanted to be the organization that they worked with. And absolutely. And we just like really connected. And I'm like, will you work with me too? And so she became my bookkeeper and grant writer. She has saved my life. She has, I can't get, grants as a for-profit company, but we decided, because it's always been my goal to go nonprofit too, because from the beginning, I hated charging artists. And it's when you run a business, of course, I needed to make money. I needed to figure out, how I was going to live. And I'm pretty good at figuring things out. I live at the Brewery near downtown Los Angeles. It's an artist community. And the way my space is split up, I actually rent out 2 studio spaces here. So that helps subsidize my rent. And so that, which makes it affordable to live at the Brewery. It makes it affordable to live in Los Angeles, period. Because, if you know, you know. So, um, I'm very lucky that way. And so I hustled, I worked with artists, she helped me get my finances sorted out. But I hated that I couldn't work with a lot of artists because they couldn't afford it. And especially doing PR, because a lot of PR companies, and I'm really good at researching. And art history helped me with that, being a grad student. So I'm good at researching like other PR companies, other, art mentors, other, professional development. and seeing what other people do, and especially PR companies charge thousands and thousands of dollars. And I didn't want to do that. So I was, always trying to figure out, okay, how can I split the cost? How can I make it more affordable? And so we progressed and evolved and changed over time. But my thing was always, how can I help more artists, without charging anything or low cost? So we started the nonprofit in 2018, and but it was a struggle because I didn't there was the line was blurred between like what I did with Shoebox and what I wanted to do with January Arts, and it was a conflict of interest. And so, and I just didn't have the bandwidth at the time to figure it out. So it sat there, we sent in our postcard every year, and then the pandemic happened, and so it got on hold even more. And just this last year, I dealt with cancer in 2023, and thankfully it was removed, and I'm doing good. Um, and so, it's just this year, I'm like, let's do it. Let's just go for it. And so we've been figuring it out, and I don't know where the bandwidth came from to do it, but so now it's, I'm going through the transition now of moving to January Arts as of September 1st, and we're doing soft programming like this. And just a little bit about January Arts. It is an artist support network. So kind of like what I said, it's a hub. You're going to be able to go there where the website is pretty much finished, except for there's going to be a whole page of artist resources where you can go to January Arts and you can find framers and printers. And I had this on Shoebox if you're familiar with it, but it's going to be even better. There's, going to be, art coaches. There's going to be a list of galleries and museums and their websites. And I mean, it's just going to have anything an artist needs. So we're starting on that this week because we needed to get the mobile version of the website up. Um, but it has a membership aspect to it, which is you can pay a monthly, 6-month, or yearly fee to work to work with January Arts. And we meet 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's basically going to be what Shoebox is now, but we're moving to the nonprofit. We have I do social media PR, so I'll share your work on our social media. There's a call for art subscription. We have a private Facebook group. We have, office hours. So there's a lot there. I'm not going to go through it all. You can go to the website and look it up. But we have, I'm going to bring back call and response. So if you did that and you're familiar with it, I'm going to bring that back. We do speed dating studio visits on Zoom. So where I pair up 2 artists and they do a studio visit with each other for 5 minutes each and share their work, like several times over 2 hours with different artists. Everybody loves that. We've done it several times. So it's like I said, it's all about bringing artists together, meeting each other. It's helping artists get over that like social anxiety and create community and network and hold each other accountable and be cheerleaders for each other, which is exactly what I am for my artists. But it's kind of helping you and giving you the motivation to do it for yourselves also and to do it for each other, because I totally believe, like I said, generosity begets generosity. The more we help each other, the more it also helps us. We lift each other up, right? So let me see, is there anything else I need to talk about? I have an amazing board with January Arts. Ellen Friedlander is here and she's my president. Yay! I think you're the only one that's here. And we have a launch party. And in fact, I had typed all this up. And I'll put this is also my contact information. I'll put this in chat. There's information about our launch party, which there's a raffle with cash. Somebody donated $500 cash. And I'm figuring out whether I want to like give it all in one sum or split it up. So, and she said I could do whatever I want. So I'm like, oh, so I reached out to Blick to get art supplies. I mean, it's very cool. There's going to be a small works exhibition. It's catered with hors d'oeuvres. It's going to be so fun. And then, yeah, there's some other links here. Let me see. Let me put this. Ah, of course, it's too long. Hold on. Let's see. Let me split this up. Let's see, it's August 18th. So there's the Facebook event too. Let me just split this up into two. There's you can also sign up for, I have a free peer mentorship program. If you sign up, I pair you up with another artist and you mentor each other, which I've worked with hundreds of artists internationally. It's been very, very cool. I know artists who are still working together. And this, I started that during the pandemic because, we need that support. And trust me, I kind of said at the beginning, if you were here and heard, I do like to be alone, but I also know that I need the support of my peers in order to grow as an artist, whether it is with my own art or in the business of art. And so that's why I do exactly what I do. We're looking for raffle prize donations, and there's a call for small works. So, excuse me, that link is in the chat there. So let me see. Trying to think if there's anything else. And I won't, this is all recorded, so this is the only time I'll be like talking about this stuff. But any questions really fast about January Arts before I jump into like or about me? Before I jump into like some of the questions that you asked. No, you just want to learn everything, right? All right. Well, feel free to email me, hub@januaryarts.org, with any questions. It may take me a couple to a few days to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And yeah, I mean, I try to be as available as possible. So if you can re-sign up, James, go ahead and re-sign up, every time. So yeah, I know there were, yeah. Um, yes, and if you want to work with January Arts, you can sign up now. So you can go to the website and click on membership, and it says work with January Arts. And I'm offering 10% off if you sign up through August 31st. So just make sure you put the start date of September 1st, because that's when it officially starts. But you can get 10% off on whether you sign up for monthly, 6 months, or a year. So, and you can, sign up until August 31st for the 10% off. There's a code. There's also the artist registry. You can add your work to our artist registry on the website. Like I said, it's a hub. So I'm hoping like we're going to get not just artists who are also curators, but also curators and gallerists and collectors and, other people going to the site. So, and then there's also a call for art subscription on Substack. So, and let me know if you have any questions about the membership, or there's a FAQ section. There's also testimonials from artists that I've worked with before. So, all right. So I wanted to start off, I'm just gonna put, sections of this in chat. I put the whole thing in your email, but this is just this is kind of the first section that I split. I split up all of your questions, all of your topics, all of your questions by topics, all of your, everything that you wanted to know, the info question there. And like I said, a lot of it was the same. Of course, you wanted to know about gallery representation or sales or collaborating or social media. You're not alone. You all, that's why you're here. So I wanted to start off with a section I'm calling In the Studio. And I wanted to start off with self-care. I talk about this with my artists a lot because we need it right now more than ever. It's the whole airplane mask thing. We have to take care of ourselves before we can, take care of others. And even before we can get in the studio and create work, right? I mean, of course, there's the myth, the stereotype of the crazy artist. You know, it's like you're not going to create great work unless you're mad, unless you're, unless you're crazed. But we also know that sometimes we can't create at all if we're stressed. So it's like we need to take care of ourselves, whatever that looks like. So I just wanted to put that at the top, and that could be getting in the studio. It's just don't forget to take care of yourself. Don't, whatever that looks like. There's an exhibition here at I have a project space where I live at the brewery, and it's a gallery. There's an exhibition right now from the textile artist Liberty Worth, and once it was hung, and it's lovely, my blood pressure went down. Like, yeah, Anne was here. She saw it. I mean, it is so calming and so peaceful. We're going to do like a meditation in there. We may do a sound bath. I may have somebody come in with massage chairs because we need it right now. And so, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. But so what else can you do to take care of yourself, right now? And being here is part of it also. But sometimes you even need to step away from art and go for a walk in nature and, in order for you to get in the studio. So some other topics that were brought up, let me see, when end and call, let's see, some of these I wasn't exactly sure of the wording, but well, when to call a project finished without overdoing it. And somebody else had the same, finding a stopping point before overworking a painting. I mean, that's a good question. I think we're all like, sometimes you can't. I don't think I don't know if there's a good answer to that. Sometimes it's okay to make a bad painting. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes you just have to push it, because if you don't push it, you don't know what's next. You don't know what's going to happen next. I've created a lot of art that I don't like, and I've cut it up. And then it's kind of been the phoenix from the ashes. It ended up being like cut up paintings on the wall. I call it a living collage. So it's like it may be something else. It could be like you could, paint over it depending on if it's oil or, what material you're using. But, sometimes it's okay to make a bad painting. Not every painting is going to be a masterpiece. And like I was just talking to an artist recently, sometimes, in fact, there's a meme going around or a quote that I've seen that, I mean, how many paintings did Picasso paint? Like, I don't know. I don't remember what the number was, thousands. And there's like 100 that are masterpieces. And I know that's a big exaggeration, but, they still all sell for a lot of money because, of course, if they have a signature, but still, not every painting, not every photograph, not every sculpture you do is going to be a masterpiece. Not, it's okay if you overdo it. Start again and do something else, because you will learn from overdoing it. So that's the biggest thing. And yeah, if you have any suggestions about this, please post in chat. Thank you so much. So why we create. This is another good one. And I'm doing a 6-week lab right now. And, the question came up and we had a great conversation about what is an artist? I mean, and I would love to know your answer to this in chat. What is an artist? And why do you create? And I have had artists come to me and say, I've just been rejected so many times. My art isn't any good. I don't know if I could do this anymore. And I ask them, can you not do art? Like, can you give all your art supplies away? Let go of your studio. Could you not? Sorry, my voice, every time I talk fast, my voice goes out. Is there, can you not create art? And their answer is no. I mean, I have to create art. So that's it. Why? I mean, I say I create because I have to, because I wouldn't have a life without it. And that's just me. That is just who I am. Oops. So yeah, I mean, everybody's different, of course, but yeah, answer like what You know, what is an artist? And also, why do you create? And, you know, those are really good questions. And the other thing, I'm going to put a plug in if you haven't been reading it, Art and Cake, and I'll put a link in chat. Right now, I'm doing a feature, and you could still submit for it. If you scroll down on the website, there's information about it, but I'm doing 60 over 60. And so if you, uh, yeah, I'm doing 60 over 60. So if you read that, you know, check it out because there are some brilliant answers. There are such inspiring answers. So I highly recommend checking that out. So let's see, another question, where do I fit in as an artist? You know, that's always a good question. Um, you know, it depends on where you want, if it depends on if you want to fit in. You know, it's like, do you really want to fit in? And if you do, you may need to change your style of work. You know, if you want to be a, you know, if you want to fit into a certain gallery, like for instance, let me see. Um, and this is just off the top of my head, like Durden and Ray, they're an art collective in the Bendix building. I mean, they're primarily painters. I mean, they show a lot of painting. They show a lot of raw, edgy, you know, conceptual stuff. But if you wanted to fit into that, you know, you may not, um, you know, the work that you're creating may not fit that. So then you may want to look and see what artists they show and change your work. But, you know, I don't recommend artists doing that. I mean, unless, you know, it's unless you want to, you know, it's kind of the thing if you want to create art for a business, if you want to create art just to sell, then you also, you know, you're going to need to change. It depends on what you create. You know, if you're a conceptual performance artist, you definitely need to change, you know, because you're not going to sell that unless, you know, you sell pictures. But then you might want to, you know, become an abstract artist because you'll sell easier that way. Um, but, you know, as far as like fitting in, you know, we're all unique. I mean, we are all individual, and that is the cool thing about being an artist. It's like I don't want to, you know, work like Picasso. I don't want to work like, you know, like other artists out there. I want my own voice. And, you know, I mean, I do definitely talk about artists finding their audience, finding their community. And, you know, you don't have to create the same as somebody else to do that. It's, you know, it's finding the vibe. Like, for instance, I recommend going to galleries wherever you are, whether you're in Los Angeles or Vegas or Phoenix or, you know, New York or wherever you are. And, you know, getting to know the gallery, getting to know the people that go to the openings. And if you feel comfortable there, then like, you know, start to cultivate those relationships. But if you feel just out of place, like they're too snobby or they're too um you know, or they're too intellectual or not intellectual enough, or, you know, if you just don't feel it's right for you, then you know it's not the right place and you're not going to fit in there. So it takes research, it takes getting out there, it takes looking at websites, it takes knowing the other art, like knowing other artists around. It takes all of that. I'm grateful to be in Los Angeles because I feel like we have a diverse array of artists and it's very supportive here. I mean, I feel that way, the art world that I'm in. And you know, it's I don't know, I'm just grateful, you know, to be here. Let's see. Staying motivated through a long-term project. Um, you know, I mean, sometimes that's hard. You know, I mean, art can be work, you know. I mean, take breaks, you know, again, that self-care. Um, yeah, it's kind of like finding things that re-energize. There goes my voice. Like re-energize you. I have a cough drop somewhere for just this reason. Like reinvigorate you. that keep you going. Um, but sorry, seeing the chat also. Um, also, like, sometimes it's bringing in another voice. Like when you're working on a long-term project, sometimes it's inviting people to see it and getting feedback, asking for studio visits, things like that. And I know like a couple people brought up studio visits. Don't be afraid to ask for a studio visit. That is our job. That is the job of curators and gallerists to go to studio visits to see new artists if they're looking, especially gallerists. Sometimes they're full and just don't have time. Curators, it's their job. They want to meet new artists. They want to see, invite other artists. I hear time and time again from, gallerists, especially because I have speakers come in, and that's something else I do for January Arts is I have speakers come and talk to our artists, and I've had gallerists, and a lot of times they will say, they took an artist in because another artist recommended them, because of the work, because they were friends, because, they like them. I mean, a lot of times it's artist recommendation. So, I just keep that in mind. Invite other artists to your studio. And, it's okay if they say no. We are all so busy. I get asked all the time, and I feel guilty for saying no, but I can't because saying no is also self care. Just remember that we have to set boundaries. We have to set those borders for ourselves. But also, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. My artists know I say that all the time. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. One of my artists asked me something yesterday and she's like, I'm going to ask this and you may say no, but you're going to tell me if I didn't ask, you know. And now I don't even remember what the question was. You'll remember, Monica, but um so yeah, so don't be afraid to ask other artists for studio visits, especially those long-term projects. Maybe you need to be reinvigorated that way. Maybe you need somebody else to get excited about it for you, and who knows, maybe collaboration can come into play, and you could, maybe they know a venue that, that you could shop it around to, I mean, you never know. So, let's see. Kind of the same thing with creative burnout, you know, um, join your community. Oh, okay. Oh, you're right, Monica. Um, you know, join a community, become like get involved, show up, um, shift your perspective. If you are just like things are not working well in the studio, go to a museum, go to galleries, get out, go do stuff, meet with friends, ask other artists, like go to their studios and visit them. Every time I go to an artist studio or a museum, like I saw Micheline Thomas at the Broad, oh my gosh, or like Rebecca Campbell, who I wish I would have seen. I'm sure I would have been the same. I come home inspired and want to paint. I just or want to create art. Always. Every time I go to especially a museum, I don't know what it is. It's like seeing all of the art and where it's come from and why and how, and I want to create. So it's like, if you are burnt out, it's okay to step away. It's also okay to take a break, take a week off, take, a month off if you need to. It's okay. There is no set schedule. There is no, it's your rules. You're the artist, right? It's your rules. So just, remember that, keep that in mind. Storage limitations. Oh. I have a storage unit at the brewery, thankfully, that I just got, which is less expensive. Um, I know storage limitations, it's the crux of, being an artist, right? Um, I know friends who have borrowed, garage space from their other friends. There's several things you could do if depending on if you're showing work, what work you're showing, why not like lend it to people to hang on their walls? You could lend it to the doctor's office. You could reach out to coffee shops and ask, because you don't have to put it on your resume that you're showing in a coffee shop, but it's like curators, gallerists, collectors go into coffee shops. And if it's like one of my artists say, eyeballs are eyeballs. It's like you never know who's going to see your work and look you up because, our phones are at, our fingertips. And if your name's on there, somebody will take a picture of your label, may look you up later on. You never know what could come from that. Everything you do creates, it's like the ripple effect, the snowball effect. Everything you do now can, turn into something else. I had a solo show, and some of you know of the space, at the Colony Theater Company in Burbank in like 2010. And I had cards out there. I had my artist statement. A year later, and this is actually a really funny story. A year later, this man reached out to me and he's like, "It's my and my wife's anniversary." And, of course, normally those are spam, emails. But he saw my work at the Colony Theater Company a year before, took my card. He came over and bought a piece of art for their anniversary. So I'm like, a year later, you never know who's looking, who's watching. Um, so I mean, those are some ways. The other ways, if you paint on canvas, take them off the stretcher bars and roll them, of course. Um, yeah, storage is hard. I mean, hopefully, I'm having a hard time keeping up with chat, but if you have any good solutions, post them in chat. And, I also believe in reciprocity. I believe, like, if there's a graphic designer that needs help with something and they have space for storage, and maybe this other person needs to store stuff and wait, no. If somebody needs storage and somebody's a graphic designer, you can trade, right? I mean, you never know. It's like barter. It's like, especially like when you don't have much money, barter. I mean, see how that works, in anything. So you may know somebody who may have space and say, "Hey, can you store my work for a while and I could do this for you." You never know. And if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So keep that in mind. Um, Goal setting, time management, art, life balance, kind of the same things. I mean, they're not, but you know, lately I've been talking about changing the word goals. Somebody said dreams or visions. It's like I was in another meeting recently and somebody mentioned that, and I really, really like that. I mean, yes, goals are important, in the business sense. But what if you do just change the word when you're thinking about your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want to accomplish? Manifestations, I like that too, or visioning or, intentions or, so think about that. I always give like a free goal workshop at the beginning of the year. So keep an eye out for that. But it helps you like set your 1 year, 5 year, 10 year lifetime goals. And yeah, it's always really good. And it's in the moment because our goals change all the time. That's the thing too. They may help you be on a path, and some people are really good with goals. Some people have this idea in their head that they want a solo show in a museum, and and that is their goal. Me, I have like goals are in my head like lotto balls popping all over the place. I don't just have one goal, but some people can have like that one final goal
Good, and it's low
and
in
follow
sugar.
a path to get there.
I mean, it's
And,
not sugar-free,
and
but
that
it's
is,
low.
oops, I'm just muting somebody. And, yeah, and I mean, I highly, if depending on which way you go, it's great to write them down. And even just, I recommend journaling, sketching, whatever you need to do to get things on paper, to get things, you may not even realize what your goals are until you actually write them down. That's the thing too. Sometimes we're in our heads so much that it's like to write them down. I have a journal right here that I used to write in a little more regularly, but I know it helps so much to get things down. And it helps, it does help keep things straight. So, time management, art life balance, what is that? Um, my life as an artist, that's it. My art is my life. I um I couldn't imagine living any other way, but that's me. And I know, I've heard a lot of people talk that have kids, that have, spouses that work full-time jobs during the day. It's like, if you are serious about art, if you want to, sell your work, if you want to be a professional artist, you need to like if you're working full time, you need to treat it like a second job. Just in your head, wake up early, before the kids are up, before your spouse is up. Wake up an hour early every morning if you need to, or, go to bed an hour later, or, set time where you tell everybody, this is my time. I need to do this. Um, I know it's hard, but we need, you know, if you can, you need to set that time, because only you can do that. Nobody else can do that for you. So, it's setting that time, and also, having the conversations with your family, or sometimes it's with yourself. I mean, I'm like, sometimes it's like having the conversation about, okay, I'm gonna go to like 2 openings a month, and also get friends involved. I mean, I have a couple friends that I go with all the time. They're my wing people, and it helps. I mean, this is a whole other conversation. It helps to go with people because then you're not as anxious. They can introduce you, you can introduce them to people, you meet people. It's amazing. Um, but hold each other accountable and say, I'm going to go to 2 openings this week. Or, in terms of like work life balance, have an accountability buddy, like have sign up for the free peer mentorship. Have that mentor. You can text each other every day if you need to. Text each other once a week. Did you do this? Or text them, this is what I'm going to do, things like that. So, I mean, there are ways of doing it, but it depends on how, and I hate to say it this way, it depends on how much you want it. It really depends on how much you want it, and, things to think about. I know an artist that works, in the studio 12 hours a day. And then, like, I know an artist that works once or twice a month, and they're prolific. They get a lot done in that time,
Yes.
and then they're with family the rest of the time. They travel, everybody's different. And so you need to figure out what works for you, and like who you are in terms of like your energy, your motivation, all of that. So just keep that in mind. Um, Imposter syndrome, battling self-doubt. Who here is not an imposter? Okay, one person, a couple people are not imposters. All right. Or I guess I should say, who doesn't feel like an imposter? Um, you know, it is that, I mean, in whatever profession you're in, it's when you are putting yourself out there, especially whether it's writing or painting or photography or singing, or, we all have that self-doubt, because especially today, there's a lot of like armchair critics out there, right? I mean, whether it's social media, whether it's, wherever it is, there's a lot of people that are watching and that are not afraid to say anything. Yes, exactly, Monica. Compare and despair is, oh, yeah, another thing. Yes, I've heard. But yeah, absolutely. It's like, we are all going to feel self-doubt. And this is like one of my favorite, if you know me, I share it a lot. One of my favorite quotes by Georgia O'Keeffe. She's been afraid her entire life, but she's done it anyway. We can like be quote imposters, or we can have that self-doubt. I mean, are you kidding? I hate my body, but I'm still posing nude, right? It's like I'm doing it anyway because I want to get over that fear. I want to, get rid of that self-doubt. I want to be more confident. So we just need to keep doing it. Keep getting out there. Keep, And again, just know you're not alone. Everybody, I don't know how many of you had put self-doubt and imposter syndrome. It's like you are not alone. And if you realize that everybody feels that way, then it's like, maybe it'll make it a little easier to get over, somehow anyway. Um, and of course I'm not going to get through this whole list on self-care, but um, let's see. We talked about time management, fair pay for cultural workers. I highly, highly, highly believe that. It depends on where you work. It depends on where you want to work. If you're not familiar, there is a website called Wage, and it's a working. Oh, if you can put it in there, I can, of course, can't remember exactly. Wage art. Let me see. Oh yeah, wage fee calculator. And it's a fee calculator, and there's much more to it, but I will put it in chat. Um, check it out. I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's amazing for writers, for artists, like if you send a proposal, it will help you get it'll help you know how much you should get paid, because artists deserve to get paid. We deserve, to get paid for creating art. We deserve to get paid for showing art. We deserve to get paid. And art workers also deserve to get paid. And, getting paid less than, what they're paying at McDonald's is just not right. So, yeah, keep those things in mind. Also, look for institutions that believe in, fair pay, whatever it is. That goes, like, somebody had a question about finding institutions. I think it was and I have it down there, finding institutions that have a budget, basically, for a show. Some of them do, some of them don't. You ask, always ask, always ask. If somebody wants you to have a show at their space, they will have a budget. When Perceive Me went down to San Diego, they gave me a stipend for travel and for storage and all of that, which was wonderful, for gas, for the whole bit. So, some places have the money and some don't. But keeping focused and follow through, I think we kind of talked about that. Follow through, especially, accountability helps, but also, you know, I know it's hard, but again, how motivated are you? How much do you want gallery representation? If, like, I've heard these stories all the time where, an artist went to an opening, they had a great conversation with, like, somebody that worked at the gallery, and that was it. And it's like, no, go back there, the next month, go to the next opening, let them get to know you, sign their book, follow them on social media, take photos at the galleries and tag them, and comment on their posts on social media. Let them recognize your name. And, just that's follow through. Follow through is also emails. I don't know how many times I've talked to artists and they're like, yeah, I didn't email them back. It's like, hello, how much did you want that opportunity? And I know life gets in the way. Life gets lifey, right? I know life gets in the way. But it's like, if you have an opportunity, set aside a few minutes to follow back, follow up, follow through. It's, just think about your motivation, think about what you want. And maybe it wasn't what you want. And that's okay too. Just keep that in mind. Maybe it wasn't what you want. Um, how to stay relevant in the art world, keep making art, keep showing up. It's like, if we hide, ageism is going to, get us. Trends are going to get us, whatever it is, sexism, misogyny. I mean, all of that. We have to get out there. We have to keep showing. We have to, like, get involved, whatever that looks like. We have to get out there on social media, just keep getting out there, keep showing up. That's how you stay relevant. Keep creating art. That's how you stay relevant. Keep telling your story. We all are here because we have a story to tell with our art. And keep keep telling your story. That is like the most important thing. That's, Sister Karita Kent has her rules, her art rules. Number 7 is work is the most important thing. It's like work, 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 because nothing else matters if we're not creating the work, if we're not in the studio, right? Let's see, how to spark creativity. I kind of mentioned that. Go to galleries, talk to other artists, go to museums. There's also like the artist way. You know, it always comes up. Some people are like, that's like, 20 years ago or 30 or 40 years ago. It always keeps coming up. I hear people all the time who do morning pages, they use it they like once to like do something different. Shift your perspective on something. If you're struggling being creative with a painting, why not go and take a printmaking class or a welding class or a pottery class? Why not do something different? It's like, I know artists, a lot of you here, you're always dipping your toes into a lot of different things and it shows up in your work and it's so cool to see. It's like, yeah, just like do something different. Go if you like know an artist who does cyanotypes, ask if you can go and work with them one day. You don't even need to take a class or a photographer. I mean, I'm not a professional photographer, but I take pictures of everything and it always inspires me. I may not do anything with them, but you never know. So, let's see. And then how to rebuild the creative habit when you've been in a rut. Kind of the same things. Go out, go to museums, go to shows, try something different. Try something different. Um, so that is like the first part on in the studio. And I probably like everything else from here on out. These are an hour long. What I'll do is like I'll have you ask the questions. So the next 5 weeks, what we'll do is like go in order. People can raise their hands on what they're dealing with, what they want answered. And we'll go from there. But keep this list. I'll send you or the updated list, I'll send it to you. Um, I think did I put it actually, I think I put no, I don't know. I'll send it to you when I send you the video and stuff. But are there any quick questions that I can answer kind of after the first day? If you want to raise your virtual hand or your regular hand or did I like talk your ear off and now you're overwhelmed? Um, Definitely, I will send you the chat. And yes, because there's some great questions in there that maybe you can help each other with. So, Kaz, go ahead. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I just was curious, what do you think that everybody in this meeting has in common?
Well, I mean, um, that we all, and I'm saying even me, we want community. We want to feel validated in our thinking, that we're not alone, that we want to get out there, we want to get our art out there, we want to tell our stories. But yeah, I think every artist wants to feel like they're not alone. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else has any good answers to that. But I mean, just being here kind of, validates all of that.
Well, not only that, I just think if you just get one little tidbit from the conversation in the hour that we're all here together, and I pulled something away from being, what was it, the imposter syndrome, and just one little thing, it's better than what I had before, which is I was just riddled with it. So
And there is no way you can be an imposter, Ellen. None of you are imposters. I mean, I know a lot of you, and you are all very talented, brave, amazing artists. And so, creatives, and you're here, and you want to make a difference with your art, and you want to tell a story, and as one, amazing artist, we want to celebrate you too, right? You want to feel celebrated. And so that's the other reason, you're here. Yeah, Kathy.
No, I just want to tell a very quick imposter syndrome story.
Okay.
I was just rejected from a show that I was sure I was going to get into. I had no doubt that I was going to be accepted. And I submitted 2 pieces and they were both rejected. Well, I went to an event the other day and a whole bunch of other people that were at that event, it turns out that they were rejected from the same show. They must have had tons of submissions because there were a lot of people who were rejected. One of the women who was rejected was an artist that I super admire. I want to be her when I grow up. So I went up to her and I said, I'm so glad you were rejected. Now I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so alone because someone that I admire so much is in the same boat.
I
She
love
got
this
it. She got it
story.
immediately because she knows how much I admire her work.
Aw.
So,
I'm sure I know what show and what what show you're talking about. So,
yeah,
if you're
you've been
listening to
hearing
this,
about it. Okay.
yeah, I mean, yes, you're part of Rejection Club. What happens at Rejection Club stays at Rejection Club. But yes, yeah, exactly. It's just who we are. I mean, it's just the name of the game for being an artist, a writer. Rejection. There's that article, aim for 100 rejections, a year. Do it, because you will be in a lot more shows than you realize. And and it's not your work. It's just because there's a lot of us out there. And and the curator, the juror, is putting together a show based on their vision, which I mean, I juried a lot of shows, and there's a lot of amazing work that I wanted to put in the show, and it just didn't fit with my vision. And I felt bad as a juror. I felt bad. So it's like, think of it that way also. But eyeballs are eyeballs. So submitting the work gets your work in front of those jurors too. Remember that. So, alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know it was a lot. I'm glad. I hope you got something from it instead of me just rambling on. But yes, after this, the next 5 weeks, same time, same place, same Zoom link. I'll send a reminder email the day before. But yeah, we will, we'll go over your individual questions from here on out. So have a good week, and self-care, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? We have no idea. So, all righty, everybody, take care.
Night.
And you are very welcome.
Thanks, Christine. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you.